To learn how to use layers in Photoshop, we are going to download a file that has a pizza that's deconstructed, and we're going to rebuild it using these skills. To open a file that you've downloaded in Photoshop, click Open in the interface. It's in the top left corner. Find the pizza file and open it up. When you open this directly, you should be able to see all of these layers that I've prepared in your layers panel over here. If you see all of this merged down as one layer, you've done the last step incorrectly, and you should backtrack to open the file directly from your downloads folder. Looking at your layers panel, the table is in the background of our workspace, and we see the table at the very bottom of our layers panel. As you work your way up the layers panel, all of these layers end up stacking in front of each other using the table as the background layer. So as we work, you'll notice that working up the layers panel over here brings the objects toward us on our canvas that we have open. This is very important to understand because this is the way that we build projects in Photoshop. If you don't understand layers, it makes it difficult to use the program correctly. So let's begin. Step number 1, we are going to go through and name each of these layers what we see in the layer thumbnail. Layer 2 has the pizza on it. So I'm going to double click on where it says layer 2. I'm going to type pizza and then press enter. On layer 3, we have the pepperoni. Double click, type pepperoni, press enter. Layer 4, we have the pepper. Double click, type pepper, press enter. Layer 5 has basil. Layer 6 has the tomato slice. We're going to first stretch the pizza so that it goes over the whole tray in our workspace. So until we need these other toppings, we're going to hide them from visibility. To toggle the visibility, you can click on the little eye icon on each layer. And as I click on these, you'll notice that those objects look like they're being deleted. They're there, they're just hiding. Select your pizza layer, click one time so that pizza has a light gray highlight on the layer. Over in your toolbar, go to the 4th tool down, which by default is the object selection tool. Click and hold the icon down with your mouse and select your magic wand. Click one time on the white space around the pizza using your magic wand, and then press the delete key on your keyboard. This will remove any unwanted space around objects when you're editing. You'll notice that there are these dotted lines that are moving. These are called the marching ants. This indicates that a selection is made around part of your composition. To deselect these, you can use the keyboard shortcut Command D. Now, the pizza is still a little too small. So what we can do is use our transform tool, Command T for transform, grab a corner, and you can stretch this to cover up your tray. That looks pretty good. Once your pizza is scaled up in size, we can bring the pepperoni back into view by clicking the little box where the eye was before. So I'm going to click on this little box next to the layer thumbnail here, and you'll notice that there is a large pepperoni on the screen now. Press Command T to scale this down. Again, that's your transform tool. And now your check sheet is asking you to make 8 pepperonis on the pizza. There are 2 ways that you can do this. The first way is by pressing Command J. It will duplicate the layer in your layers panel, and using your move tool, the top tool in your toolbar, you can slide the copy over. It will paste it directly on top of the original. That's one way of making a copy. The way that I prefer is holding down the Option key with your left hand and dragging the object that you want to copy with your mouse. So I'll click and drag on this pepperoni, and it copied it. So again, that's holding down Option with my left hand, clicking and dragging with the mouse, and it duplicates it. I find this easier to work with because you can see exactly where the copy is going. And I believe that makes 8 copies. They're not evenly spaced, that's okay. You can arrange them really however you want to. 4, that makes 8. Perfect. Next, we are going to bring the pepper back into view. Now, in a pizzeria, the chef making the pizza typically wouldn't perfectly duplicate pepper slices and lay them down so that they look exactly the same. So what we're going to do first is we are going to slice the pepper in half using our eraser. Your eraser tool is about halfway down your toolbar. The icon is a black and white rectangle. Using my eraser, I'm just going to erase half of the pepper. Back to my move tool, I'm going to slide it. And now holding down Option and dragging it with my mouse, I'm making a copy. This still looks a little bit too perfect. It looks a little too copy and pasted. So what we can do is press Command T to bring up the transform tool, hover near one of the corners, and you can swing the object around to get it at a slightly different angle. This will help it to look a little bit more natural, and we're going to repeat this until we have 5 peppers on the pizza. So Option drag, Command T, rotate. Option drag, Command T. And you can put these at any angle. I would just make them all slightly different from each other to help things look a little bit more randomized, like they would be if you were really making a pizza. All right. Next, we're moving up to the tomato according to your check sheet. And the tomato, we are just going to scale down. Command T. Oops, these proportions are a little bit out of sync here. And I'm going to duplicate this until I have 4. Now, at this point, you'll notice that some of the layers are covering up what you had before. If you would like to reorder these so it doesn't look as flat, you can actually drag a layer in your layers panel, drag below what you want to see it behind. So if I want to see this tomato show up behind a pepper, I'll just slide the tomato beneath one of the pepper copies. You can repeat this step and it will help the toppings look a little bit more stacked on top of each other instead of the tomatoes just laying flat over everything. And lastly, we are going to bring our basil into view. We're making 4 copies of the basil. Oops, not the pizza. And in the instructions, it's specifically asking you to rotate the basil so that it doesn't look too perfect on the pizza here. If you'd like to see the basil in front of the tomatoes, again, just drag the layer in your layers panel and you can adjust the order of objects in your workspace. Command T, rotate my basil. One more copy, Command T. All right, and before you submit this, I'd like to challenge you to bring another topping in from Google Images. You can select any topping. I want you to try to edit it and make a few different copies so that you can sprinkle them onto your pizza.